I just finished watching all of the UFC press conferences leading up to the fight night this week in UFC Vegas 80, Dawson versus Green. I'm going to talk about each fighter and what I really took away, and I'm going to try to analyze their headspace a little bit to see if we can get a gauge on where they are in their career, how they're feeling about this fight, all kind of things like that. Now, it is important to note before we get into it, I don't touch on every single press conference this video. Some of them were a couple minutes long. Some of them had absolutely nothing to take away from it. So timestamps are there if you'd like to skip to any particular fighter, and I'd love to know what you guys think down below afterwards. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with too many YouTube channels, and welcome back to our complete presser recap video. This is a series that is brand new on the channel. We're going to keep doing it every single week, guys. Timestamps are there if you'd like to skip to any particular part. Let's get into it. Starting off with Bobby Green. His press conference was pretty long, and to be honest with you, it was a lot of nothing. Bobby Green thinks he's a star. He's talking like he is a Jorge Masvidal. He's talking like he's a Nate Diaz. Well, the attitude is there. He's just not the same kind of star, and he was really disrespectful towards Grant Dawson in the sense where he just kept calling him boring, so he's always building in a bunch of excuses on why he's going to lose the fight or how he's going to lose the fight. If he takes me down, he's just boring. Like, come on, man. Come on. He's talking like, I want to be a true fighter, like Justin Gaethje. He's compared himself to Gamebred. He's compared himself to Justin Gaethje. Like, yeah, you know what? You can scrap. But at the same time, have some respect for your opponents. Have some respect for the martial arts behind it. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And he goes on to say like the same things. Like, he doesn't care about winning. He just wants to have a catalog of great fights. That's nuts. That's just saying, hey, if this guy takes me down and loses, he's boring. I wasn't focused on the ground game. I just wanted to have an exciting fight. Like, what a horrible attitude, man. What a horrible attitude. But something that did come out of it that I do like is he wants to fight Jim Miller at UFC 300. That's a banger. I'd love to see that. But man, I did not like what I took away from Bobby Green. That tells me that he hasn't been training too hard against Grant Dawson. And it tells me that he sees himself actually losing this fight. What a horrible attitude to come out about, man. Now, I do want to talk about Joaquin Buckley because this dude came out, he took his shirt off, and he was showing, most of the press conference was about him, and how hard he's been working, how healthy he's been eating, how he's been eating fruits, how hard he's been working out. This dude is as jacked as he has ever been. He looked so good, and I believe him, man. I believe him. He was, the only other thing that he was really talking about is he wants to be a bigger name and he wants to promote his fights, but he's frustrated because none of his opponents are hyping up the fight. Like, for example, Alex Morono, he's just a regular guy, right? I understand his frustrations, but you can't expect that to come from everybody. Like, a guy like Alex Morono just wants to come in and fight. So I understand what he's talking about, but I don't know if he's necessarily right in being pissed off with his opponents for that. Or he didn't really say that he's pissed off with his opponents. He's frustrated with them, right? He didn't talk about hating them or anything like that. He's frustrated with them. So I get that. But Joaquin Buckley, man, he is in fantastic shape. Oh my God, it makes me worried because I bet on Alex Morono. I want to talk Joe Pyfer though. Joe Pyfer, he had quite a little bit of an angry press conference. He was talking about how he's pretty confident in himself. He believes he can be a superstar. He was talking about being real. You know what I mean? He was being real. He's like, I think I'm better than this guy. I know I'm better than this guy. I'm going to come here. I'm going to do my thing. And other than that, he was pretty much just talking about how he wants to just be active in his career. He wants to keep getting to the top. He wants to be a superstar. He wants to make his money. He came from nothing. He is honestly he was really worried about aging and having his career be over and him regretting stuff. So I don't really know what to take away from Joe Pyfer's press conference. He was just pretty angry in it. Moving on, though, we have Drew Dober. Drew Dober is in incredible spirits, especially after a knockout loss that he suffered. And he's even talked about it. It was the first thing they talked about. Drew Dober was like, hey, I'm here. I'm ready to go. I am very, very excited to be here. Knockout losses happen. Hey, I've been knocked out before. We're going to just correct what happened. We're going to continue moving forward. He seemed very positive, very true to himself, which is really cool. He's still excited at this point in his career. He would rather be active than going and getting waiting for one opportunity. But one opportunity that he would like to have is to fight Michael Chandler while he's preparing for Conor McGregor, He also spoke about a new motivation that he has now that he's a dad. It's a different kind of motivation, and I don't really understand that, but I'm going to understand that because I'm having a kid myself. But I can only imagine that you'll want to win a fight and make that extra bonus money so much more if you're a guy like Drew Dober, if you become a dad, right? But other than that, I really liked what I took away from Drew Dober. I was a little bit iffy on him, was what if his chin's gone now? But this dude seems like he's honestly really happy with himself. He's in a good place in his career. I can't wait to watch this guy perform. I love watching Drew Dober fight. But speaking of guys I'm excited for, I actually had a very, very good takeaway from Grant Dawson's press conference because this is a guy that I never, I've watched him fight. I've watched him on the come up and everything, but I've never really listened to too many of his interviews. Now, something that I did like is he's looking at this fight very realistically. He's taking Bobby Green very serious, and that's a big difference in why it might matter on Saturday. He's looking at Bobby Green. He's like, this dude is an incredible opponent. He has his strengths. He went into it and what Bobby Green did well. He's taking him very seriously, and he is really honed in on Bobby Green. Nothing but respect for him. He had so much respect for the rest of the division. He was like, I don't understand why people are hating on Gamma right now. The guy's so skillful. He was talking about Islam Makhachev. I really like what I've taken away from this guy in this press conference. I love his mindset. I love what he's doing here. He was being so respectful to his opponent, Bobby Green, and he didn't get that back. Bobby Green was like, oh, if he takes me down, he's boring. You know what I mean? Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. And other than that, like I said, man, he's just been respectful to everybody in the division. And he was talking about his own skill set. He's excited for the main event. He wants to prove that he has a gas tank. I hope he wins. I hope he wins, man. Moving on, we have Ion Cutelaba. Now, there isn't a lot to take away from him. Relatively short press conference, but he came in with a new look. He had his suit. He was like looking very, very different. He was making a change. Now, something that I thought was interesting with him, though, is he mentioned that he isn't happy with his career and he wants to make changes. And the even more interesting part of that is he was saying that he's just waiting for this fight because he's been really working on elevating himself as a person, as a fighter. So this next fight will show him where he's at. So he's not, that what tells me is he's not confident in himself, where, like, I don't want to say not confident, but he knows, like, he's not perfect. I don't want to say, like, he has no spirit in there. Obviously, the dude's a dog. He goes in there and swings, right? But I'm very interested in this new outlook of his. He's been really improving himself, so it looks like he's excited to test some of that stuff, but he doesn't feel like he's completed himself yet. And honestly, not a bad outlook to have. If there's room for improvement, it's nice that he recognizes that. But guys, the last fighter that I want to touch on is Alex Morono. I'm a big fan of Alex Morono. Really, really like this guy. So pretty much, he was like having the Drew Dober effect where he's excited, he's happy. He was excited because he finally has a full training camp for a fight, so he's going to really show what he's all about, hopefully. Now, another thing that he expressed, which I didn't know about him, is he has a business and a job at home. I don't know what he does or what business he kind of has, but it allows him to, according to Alex Morono, it allows him to work on himself and improve himself as a fighter and not have any unnecessary stress, because at the end of the day, if he loses a fight, he's still comfortable with his business at home. So that's very interesting, because I feel like that could be good and bad to have that stress where it's like, I need to win this fight, I need to make money. That could have negative consequences depending on how you handle stress, or if you're comfortable like Alex Morono, it's worked out for him too. He takes these fights on short notice and just comes in and steamrolls a guy. No stress about it, right? So obviously it's working out for him. It's really cool. But other than that, he talked about working on himself, being healthy, and enjoying learning a martial art and being a martial arts student. So love Alex Morono. Big fan of that guy. Very underappreciated fighter. And that's all the fighters that I wanted to talk about from the press conference, guys. Let me know if you enjoyed this type of video down below. What did you take away from the press conferences if you watched the video? What do you think about anything I said about the fighters? Let me know what you think down below. And thank you so much for watching this video on the screen right now. If you'd like to continue watching the Clenbat channel, there'll be 2 videos on screen for you to check out. I will see you either there or in the next video, guys. Take care.